where wind-carved landscapes stretch endlessly toward distant horizons. Ancient secrets lie hidden in plain sight. From towering stone monoliths that pierce the sky to mysterious circles etched into mountain peaks, this rugged state holds some of America's most puzzling archaeological enigmas. These are not merely old artifacts or forgotten ruins, but genuine mysteries that continue to baffle scientists, archaeologists, and visitors alike. Before we start, I'd love to know something. If you actually live in the USA, which state are you listening from, and what time is it right now? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Chapter 1. Medicine Wheel. High atop Medicine Mountain in the Big Horn Range, at an elevation of nearly 10,000 feet, sits one of North America's most enigmatic ancient structures, the Medicine Wheel, a massive stone circle 75 feet across, built from carefully placed limestone slabs that form 28 spokes radiating from a central hub. This isn't just any stone arrangement. It's a precisely constructed monument that has weathered centuries of harsh mountain conditions while maintaining its mysterious purpose. The wheel itself consists of over 80 tons of quarried stone, transported to this remote alpine location by people who had no horses or wheeled vehicles. The effort required to build such a structure at this elevation, where oxygen is thin and weather conditions brutal for much of the year, suggests something of extraordinary importance motivated its construction. Carbon dating of organic materials found within the structure indicates it was built sometime between 300 to 800 years ago, though some estimates push its origins back even further. What makes the Medicine Wheel truly mysterious is its apparent astronomical alignments. The spokes point toward significant celestial events, the summer solstice, sunrise, certain star risings, and other astronomical phenomena that would have been crucial for tracking seasonal changes. Yet, this explanation raises more questions than it answers. If it was simply a calendar, why build it at such an inaccessible location? The nearest permanent water source is miles away, and the site is buried under snow for most of the year. Archaeological investigations have revealed that the wheel was not built all at once. Instead, it appears to have been modified and expanded over time, with different generations adding elements to the structure. This suggests it served as a focal point for repeated ceremonies or observations spanning centuries. The central cairn shows evidence of multiple construction phases, and several of the outer cairns were clearly added later. The wheel's design also reflects sophisticated knowledge of geometry and astronomy that challenges assumptions about the mathematical capabilities of its builders. The angles between spokes are not random but follow precise measurements that align with specific stellar observations. This level of accuracy required generations of careful observation and record-keeping, suggesting a complex understanding of celestial mechanics. Native American oral traditions offer various explanations for the wheel's purpose. Some describe it as a place where vision quests were undertaken, others as a site for astronomical observations crucial for timing hunts and gathering seasons. Several tribes consider it a sacred healing place, while others view it as a gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds. These diverse interpretations suggest the wheel may have served multiple purposes or different functions for different groups over time. The location itself adds to the mystery. Medicine Mountain offers a commanding view of the surrounding landscape, but it's also one of the most challenging places to reach in the entire region. The builders deliberately chose difficulty over convenience, suggesting the elevation itself was significant to the wheel's purpose. Perhaps the thin air and harsh conditions were considered necessary for the spiritual or ceremonial activities conducted there. Recent archaeological surveys have identified similar but smaller stone circles throughout the mountain ranges of Wyoming and Montana, creating a network of related sites that spans hundreds of miles. This suggests the Medicine Wheel was not an isolated monument, but part of a larger cultural system that connected distant communities through shared astronomical and ceremonial practices. The enduring mystery of the Medicine Wheel lies not just in its construction or purpose, but in how it represents a level of organizational capability and astronomical knowledge that required coordination between multiple generations and possibly multiple tribal groups. As you stand beside this ancient circle today, with the wind howling across the mountain peaks and the vast landscape spreading out below, you re-confronted with the unmistakable evidence that the people who built this monument possessed knowledge and motivations that remain largely hidden from our modern understanding, leaving us to wonder what other secrets these high places might hold. Devil's Tower, rising like a petrified tree trunk from the rolling hills of northeastern Wyoming. Devil's Tower presents one of the most dramatic geological formations in North America. This volcanic monolith, standing 867 feet above the surrounding landscape, has captured human imagination for countless generations. To geologists, it represents a fascinating example of igneous intrusion and erosion processes that continue to puzzle researchers. To the Native American nations of the region, it's a sacred site wrapped in origin stories that speak of bears, spiritual transformation, and the connection between earth and sky. The tower's distinctive appearance results from its unique geological composition and the erosive forces that have shaped it over millions of years. The structure is composed of phonolite porphyry, an igneous rock that formed when magma cooled slowly underground. As the magma cooled, it contracted and cracked, creating the distinctive columnar jointing that gives the tower its fluted appearance. These vertical columns, some over 600 feet tall, create a natural architectural effect that seems almost designed rather than naturally formed. The geological mystery of Devil's Tower lies not in what it is, but in how it formed. While scientists agree that it's an igneous intrusion, they disagree about the exact process that created it. Some theories suggest it formed as the neck of an ancient volcano with the surrounding softer rock eventually eroding away to expose the harder volcanic core. Others propose it formed as a laccolith, a dome-shaped intrusion that pushed up through existing rock layers without breaking the surface. Recent geological studies have added complexity to these formation theories. The tower's internal structure shows evidence of multiple intrusion events, suggesting it was unformed in a single geological episode but through a series of magmatic processes that occurred over extended periods. This complexity makes it difficult to apply simple formation models and suggests the tower's creation involved geological processes that might not fit standard categories. The surrounding landscape provides clues about the tower's formation but also raises additional questions. The Belle Fourche River winds around the tower's base, and its meandering pattern seems to have been influenced by the presence of the igneous intrusion. However, the relationship between the river's course and the tower's formation involves complex interactions between geological and hydrological processes that occurred over millions of years. The tower's distinctive columnar structure has attracted scientific attention since the early days of American geology. The columns range from 3 to 8 feet in diameter and display the pentagonal and hexagonal cross-sections, typical of columnar basalt formations. However, the tower's columns are unusually uniform and well-developed compared to similar formations elsewhere, suggesting cooling conditions that were particularly favorable for creating regular geometric patterns. Native American oral traditions offered different explanations for the tower's formation stories that emphasize spiritual rather than geological processes. Many of these accounts involve bears, either giant bears that clawed the sides of the tower while chasing people who had taken refuge on top, or bears that were transformed into the rock formation itself through spiritual intervention. These stories reflect deep cultural connections to the site that extend back centuries before European exploration. The Lakota name for the tower translates to Bear Lodge, reflecting the central role of bears in the origin stories associated with the site. According to tradition, the tower was formed when the Great Spirit raised the ground to protect 7 young girls from a pursuing bear. The bear clawed at the rising rock, creating the vertical grooves that characterize the tower's surface. The girls eventually became the 7 stars of the Pleiades constellation, connecting the earthly formation to celestial phenomena. Archaeological evidence around Devil's Tower suggests the site has been significant to Native American cultures for thousands of years. Stone tools, fire hearths, and other artifacts found in the area indicate repeated human occupation and use of the surrounding landscape. The tower itself shows evidence of ceremonial activities, including prayer cloth offerings and other ritual materials that continue to be placed there today. The tower's role as a sacred site has created ongoing discussions about appropriate uses and management of the area. Rock climbing became popular at Devil's Tower in the mid-20th century, turning the formation into a destination for technical climbers from around the world. However, this recreational use conflicts with the spiritual practices of Native American groups who consider the tower sacred and request that climbing be restricted during certain ceremonial periods. The geological processes that expose Devil's Tower continue today, though at rates measurable only over geological timescales. The surrounding sedimentary rocks continue to erode, gradually exposing more of the igneous intrusion. This ongoing erosion means the tower is slowly growing taller relative to the surrounding landscape, a process that has been continuing for millions of years since the intrusion first formed. Recent research has focused on understanding the internal structure of Devil's Tower using non-invasive techniques like seismic surveys and gravity studies. These investigations have revealed that the visible tower is only the upper portion of a much larger igneous intrusion that extends deep underground. The full extent and shape of this buried portion remain unknown, adding to the geological mystery of the formation. The tower's influence on local climate and ecology creates unique environmental conditions that support plant and animal communities not found in the surrounding area. The vertical rock faces provide nesting sites for birds, while the different exposures create microclimates that support diverse plant communities. These ecological relationships add another layer to the tower's complexity as a natural system. The enduring fascination with Devil's Tower reflects its ability to challenge both scientific understanding and spiritual imagination. As a geological formation, it represents processes that operated over scales of time and temperature that are difficult to comprehend. As a sacred site, it embodies cultural knowledge and spiritual practices that connect contemporary Native American communities to ancestral traditions. Standing at its base, looking up at the towering columns of ancient rock, visitors are confronted with something that seems to transcend ordinary natural processes, leaving them with a sense of mystery that neither scientific explanation nor spiritual understanding can completely resolve. Chapter 3: Spanish Diggings. Across nearly 1,000 square miles of southeastern Wyoming, the landscape bears the scars of what may be the most extensive prehistoric mining operation in North America, known as the Spanish Diggings. These countless pits, quarries, and tool-making sites were initially thought to be the work of Spanish conquistadors searching for gold. The reality, however, is far more mysterious and impressive, representing thousands of years of intensive stone tool production by Native American peoples on a scale that challenges our understanding of prehistoric economic systems. The diggings consist of over 10,000 individual quarry pits, some reaching depths of 30 feet and widths of over 100 feet. These excavations target specific geological formations rich in high-quality chert and other stone materials, ideal for toolmaking. The sheer scale of the operation becomes apparent when you realize that the disturbed area covers more ground than many modern cities, representing the removal of millions of tons of overburden to access relatively thin layers of knappable stone. What makes these diggings truly mysterious is the level of geological knowledge they demonstrate. The ancient miners knew exactly where to dig to find the best stone, often tunneling through layers of inferior rock to reach specific seams of high-quality material. They understood the subtle differences in stone quality that affected tool performance, and they organized their extraction efforts with a precision that suggests detailed planning and coordination between different groups. The artifacts found throughout the diggings reveal sophisticated manufacturing processes that went far beyond simple tool production. Archaeologists have documented evidence of specialized tool-making techniques, quality control systems, and what appears to be mass production methods. Partially finished tools show standardized shapes and sizes, suggesting the makers were following specific design templates to create tools for trade or distribution to other groups. The temporal span of activity at the Spanish diggings is staggering. Radiocarbon dates from organic materials found in the quarries indicate use beginning at least 8,000 years ago and continuing into the historic period. This represents one of the longest continuous industrial operations in human history, with generation after generation returning to the same locations to extract stone and manufacture tools. The organization required for such extensive mining operations raises profound questions about prehistoric social structures. Moving the enormous quantities of overburden found at these sites would have required coordinated labor from large groups of people. The logistics of feeding, housing, and coordinating such work parties suggests levels of social organization and economic planning that exceed most models of hunter-gatherer societies. Tool distribution patterns add another layer to the mystery. Artifacts made from Spanish diggings, stone, have been found across the Great Plains and into the Rocky Mountains, indicating trade networks that spanned thousands of miles. The quality control evident in these traded tools suggests the existence of specialized craftspeople who maintained consistent standards across vast production runs. The environmental impact of the Spanish diggings is still visible today, centuries after the last quarrying activities. The landscape is honeycombed with pits, tailings, piles, and processing areas that fundamentally altered the local ecosystem. This level of environmental modification by prehistoric peoples challenges assumptions about the limited impact of traditional societies on their surroundings. Recent geological studies have revealed that the ancient miners possessed remarkably advanced understanding of stone fracture, mechanics and heat treatment processes. Evidence of controlled heating to improve stone quality shows they had mastered techniques that modern experimenters struggle to replicate. Some quarries show evidence of sophisticated drainage systems designed to keep working areas dry, indicating engineering capabilities that required long-term planning and maintenance. The social implications of the Spanish diggings extend beyond simple economic activity. The sites show evidence of ceremonial activities, including rock art and ritual deposits, that suggest the quarrying process itself had spiritual dimensions. Toolmaking appears to have been embedded within larger cultural systems that included religious observances and social bonding activities. The mystery deepens when you consider the labor investment represented by these operations. Experimental archaeology suggests that creating just one of the larger quarries would have required thousands of person-hours of work. Multiplied across the entire complex, the Spanish diggings represent a labor investment comparable to major construction projects in agricultural civilizations, yet accomplished by societies that left no other evidence of such organizational capabilities. The decline and abandonment of the Spanish diggings corresponds roughly with the propensal tools through European trade, but the transition was not immediate or complete. Some quarries show continued use well into the historic period, suggesting that stone tools retained advantages over metal implements for certain purposes. The persistence of traditional production methods alongside new technologies adds complexity to our understanding of technological change in indigenous societies. Today, as you walk among the countless pits and processing areas of the Spanish diggings, you're confronted with evidence of human activity on a scale that defies easy categorization. These ancient mining operations represent achievements in organization, technology, and economic coordination that challenge fundamental assumptions about the capabilities of prehistoric societies, leaving us with more questions than answers about how such massive undertakings were conceived, organized, and sustained across millennia. Chapter 4. Red Desert Petroglyphs. In the windswept expanse of Wyoming's Red Desert, where sagebrush stretches to every horizon and sandstone outcrops rise like islands from an ocean of red earth, ancient artists left behind some of the most enigmatic rock art in North America. These petroglyphs, scattered across hundreds of remote locations, present a bewildering array of spirals, abstract figures, and geometric patterns that seem to follow no recognizable artistic tradition. Unlike the more representational rock art found elsewhere in the region, the Red Desert petroglyphs venture into realms of pure abstraction that leave modern viewers grappling with their meaning and purpose. The spirals are perhaps the most distinctive element of Red Desert rock art. These aren't simple circular designs, but complex mathematical forms that demonstrate sophisticated understanding of geometric principles. Some spirals contain dozens of coils executed with precision that required careful planning and steady execution. Others incorporate branching elements that create fractal-like patterns, mathematical relationships that seem to anticipate modern discoveries about natural geometry. The consistency of these spiral designs across widely separated sites suggests they held specific meaning within whatever cultural system created them. The human figures depicted in Red Desert petroglyphs are equally mysterious. Rather than realistic representations, these images show highly stylized beings with elongated limbs, elaborate headdresses, and bodies covered in geometric patterns. Some appear to be floating or flying. Others seem to be emerging from or disappearing into the rock surface itself. These figures often include details that don't correspond to any known clothing, tools, or physical attributes, leading to speculation about whether they represent actual people, spiritual beings, or visionary experiences. Animal representations in the Red Desert follow the same pattern of abstraction. While some clearly recognizable species appear, many animal figures are so stylized as to be unidentifiable. Some seem to combine features from different animals, creating hybrid creatures that might represent mythological beings or shamanic transformation imagery. The artistic choice to move away from realistic representation towards symbolic abstraction suggests these petroglyphs served purposes beyond simple documentation or decoration. The geometric patterns found throughout Red Desert rock art sites present perhaps the greatest interpretive challenge. These designs range from simple repeating motifs to incredibly complex arrangements that seem to follow mathematical rules. Some patterns appear to be early attempts at mapping astronomical phenomena, with arrangements that might correspond to star positions or seasonal observations. Others resemble the visual patterns reported by people experiencing altered states of consciousness, leading to theories about shamanic practices and ritual use of psychoactive plants. The technique used to create red desert petroglyphs varies considerably, even within individual sites. Some images were pecked into the rock surface using traditional methods, while others show evidence of abrading or grinding techniques that created different visual textures. This technical variation might represent different time periods, different cultural groups, or different ritual purposes for the creation of the images. The locations chosen for red desert petroglyphs add another layer of mystery to their interpretation. Unlike many rock art sites that occupy prominent landscape positions or natural gathering places, many red desert petroglyphs are found in remote, seemingly insignificant locations. This timing places their creation during a period of significant cultural change on the Great Plains, when new technologies, trade relationships, and social organizations were transforming traditional ways of life. The sandstone formations at Castle Gardens provided an ideal canvas for petroglyph creation. The rock surface is soft enough to carve easily, but hard enough to preserve images over centuries. The natural weathering of the sandstone has created smooth, flat surfaces that seem almost designed for artistic expression. The petroglyphs take advantage of these natural features, using the contours and textures of the rock to enhance the visual impact of the carved images. The location of Castle Gardens itself adds to the mystery of the warrior petroglyphs. The site sits in an area that was not particularly rich in the resources that typically attracted prehistoric settlements. There's no permanent water source nearby, and the Badlands environment would have provided limited plant and animal resources for sustaining large groups. This suggests that people came to Castle Gardens specifically to create or view the petroglyphs rather than as part of normal subsistence activities. The arrangement of petroglyphs across the site follows patterns that seem intentional but whose logic remains unclear. Different rock faces feature different types of warrior images, with some showing individual figures and others depicting what appear to be group activities or ceremonies. The distribution of images suggests the site was used repeatedly over time, with different artists adding their contributions to an ongoing visual narrative. Some of the most intriguing petroglyphs at Castle Gardens show warriors in apparent combat or conflict scenes. These images provide rare glimpses into prehistoric warfare practices, showing weapon techniques, protective gear, and battle. Formations that aren't well documented in the archaeological record. The level of detail in these combat scenes suggests they were created by people with intimate knowledge of warfare, possibly warriors themselves recording their own experiences or traditions. The enduring mystery of Castle Gardens lies not just in identifying who created these remarkable warrior petroglyphs, but in understanding what they meant to their makers and the communities they represented. These carved warriors stand as silent sentinels in the Badlands, their shields raised and weapons ready, guarding secrets about prehistoric military traditions, cultural identities, and artistic expressions that may never be fully revealed to modern eyes. Chapter 8. Medicine wheel-like sites. High in the Wind River Range, where alpine meadows give way to rocky peaks and the air grows thin enough to make breathing difficult, scattered stone circles await discovery by hikers willing to venture far from established trails. These smaller cousins of the famous Bighorn medicine wheel share similar construction techniques and apparent astronomical alignments, yet their remote locations and varied designs raise questions about whether they represent the same cultural tradition or different groups working with similar concepts. Each newly discovered wheel adds complexity to our understanding of prehistoric astronomical knowledge and ceremonial practices in the Rocky Mountain region. The Wind River medicine wheels vary significantly in size and complexity compared to their famous Bighorn counterpart. Some are simple circles, no more than 20 feet across, while others incorporate multiple rings, radial spokes, and additional stone features that suggest more complex purposes. This variation might reflect different functions, different time periods, or different cultural groups using shared architectural concepts for their own specific needs. The locations chosen for these alpine medicine wheels seem to follow patterns that prioritize astronomical observation over practical considerations. Most sit on high ridges or mountain peaks that offer unobstructed views of the horizon in multiple directions or dial positions, for tracking the movements of celestial bodies throughout the year. However, these elevated sites also present significant challenges for construction and use, requiring builders to transport heavy stones to locations that are accessible only during brief summer seasons. The construction techniques used for these alpine wheels demonstrate sophisticated understanding of both astronomy and engineering. The builders had to account for the effects of altitude on their observations, the challenges of working with frozen ground and extreme weather conditions, and the need to create structures that could withstand harsh mountain environments for extended periods. The precision evident in the final alignments suggests they overcame these challenges successfully. Dating the Wind River medicine wheels presents unique difficulties due to their high-altitude locations. Organic materials that might provide radiocarbon dates are rarely preserved in these harsh environments, and the extreme weather conditions make it difficult to identify subtle stratigraphic evidence that might indicate construction sequences. Without reliable dating methods, the chronological relationships between different wheels remain largely speculative. The astronomical alignments found at these sites show remarkable consistency despite their geographic separation. Multiple wheels incorporate alignments to summer solstice, sunrise, winter solstice, sunset, and the rising positions of bright stars that were significant in various Native American calendrical systems. This consistency suggests shared astronomical knowledge and possibly coordinated observation programs that connected communities across vast mountain ranges. Some of the Wind River wheels incorporate unique features not found at other medicine wheel sites. These include secondary circles positioned at specific distances from the main wheel, linear stone arrangements that extend beyond the circular structure, and carefully placed individual stones that might mark specific astronomical events or serve as reference points for complex observational procedures. The relationship between these alpine wheels and the broader landscape reveals additional layers of meaning. Many are positioned to take advantage of natural landscape features that enhance their astronomical functions, such as distant mountain peaks that serve as horizon markers or natural rock formations that frame specific celestial observations. These relationships suggest the builders possessed intimate knowledge of both astronomical phenomena and local topographic characteristics. The seasonal accessibility of these high-altitude sites raises questions about how and when they were used. Most locations are buried under snow for 8 or 9 months of the year, limiting their use to brief summer periods when astronomical conditions might not be optimal for all of the alignments incorporated into their designs. This temporal constraint suggests the wheels served functions that could be accomplished during limited seasonal windows. Archaeological surveys of the area surrounding Wind River medicine wheels have revealed associated features that provide clues about their use. These include stone tool manufacturing sites, fire hearths, and temporary shelter locations that indicate people spent extended periods in these remote areas, possibly for ceremonial or educational purposes related to astronomical observation and cultural instruction. The preservation of these alpine medicine wheels varies dramatically depending on their specific locations and exposure to weathering processes. Some remain virtually intact with every stone apparently in its original position, while others have suffered damage from freeze-thaw cycles, avalanches, or other mountain hazards. The differential preservation makes it difficult to assess the original extent and complexity of these sites. Recent discoveries of additional medicine wheel-like sites throughout the Rocky Mountain region suggest these structures were more common than previously recognized. Many have been found only through systematic archaeological surveys of high-altitude areas that were previously considered unlikely locations for prehistoric cultural sites. Each new discovery adds to our understanding of the geographic extent and cultural significance of these mysterious stone circles. The mystery of the Wind River medicine wheels ultimately reflects our limited understanding of the sophisticated astronomical traditions that flourished in the prehistoric Rocky Mountain region. These remote stone circles represent achievements in observational astronomy, engineering, and cultural organization that required coordination between communities separated by difficult terrain and harsh environmental conditions, leaving us with evidence of knowledge, systems, and cultural practices that remain largely hidden from modern understanding. Chapter 9. Sheep-eater, Indian pictographs. In the remote reaches of Wyoming's Absaroka Range, where mountain peaks rise above timberline and hidden valleys shelter remnants of ancient forests, the mountain-dwelling people known as sheep-eaters left behind some of the most enigmatic rock art in the American West. These pictographs, painted rather than carved into protected rock shelters and cave walls, offer glimpses into a unique hunting culture that specialized in pursuing bighorn sheep through treacherous mountain terrain. Yet among the recognizable hunting scenes and animal depictions are images that defy easy interpretation, suggesting spiritual dimensions and mythological narratives that remain largely mysterious to modern viewers. The sheep-eater pictographs are distinguished from other regional rock art traditions by their distinctive painting techniques and color palettes, rather than the simple red ochre pigments common in many rock art sites. These paintings employ multiple colors, including red, yellow, white, and black pigments that were carefully prepared and applied to create complex multicolored images. The durability of these pigments in harsh mountain environments suggests sophisticated knowledge of mineral preparation and paint chemistry. The hunting scenes depicted in sheep-eater rock art provide detailed documentation of specialized mountain hunting techniques. The images show hunters using tools and methods specifically adapted for pursuing bighorn sheep in steep, rocky terrain. These include distinctive bow designs, specialized arrows, and hunting strategies that took advantage of mountain topography to trap or ambush prey. The level of detail in these hunting scenes suggests they served educational or ceremonial purposes beyond simple artistic expression. Many of the animal figures in sheep-eater pictographs display characteristics that go beyond realistic representation. Bighorn sheep are shown with exaggerated horns, supernatural size, or anatomical features that don't correspond to actual animals. These stylistic choices might represent spiritual concepts about the relationship between hunters and prey, shamanic transformation imagery, or mythological beings that played important roles in sheep-eater spiritual traditions. The human figures depicted in these mountain pictographs are equally mysterious in their variations from realistic representation. Some show people with animal characteristics, others display elaborate ceremonial dress or equipment that doesn't match known archaeological artifacts from the region. These hybrid or supernatural human figures might represent shamanic practitioners, mythological beings, or spiritual concepts that were central to sheep-eater worldviews. The locations chosen for sheep-eater pictographs reflect the mountain-adapted lifestyle of their creators. Most are found in rock shelters or caves that provided protection from weather while serving as temporary camps during hunting expeditions. These sites often occupy strategic positions that offered views of game trails or water sources, suggesting the rock art was integrated into broader patterns of landscape use and resource management. Some of the most puzzling sheep-eater pictographs appear to represent abstract concepts or spiritual visions that resist interpretation through conventional archaeological approaches. These include geometric patterns, spiral designs, and arrangements of symbols that might represent astronomical observations, mythological narratives, or shamanic experiences induced through ritual practices. While the meaning of these abstract elements remains largely inaccessible to modern researchers, the preservation of sheep-eater pictographs in mountain environments presents unique challenges and opportunities. The high-altitude locations protect many sites from human disturbance, but they also subject the paintings to extreme weather conditions, including freeze-thaw cycles, intense ultraviolet radiation, and dramatic temperature variations. Some paintings remain remarkably well preserved, while others have faded to barely visible traces. Archaeological investigations around sheep-eater pictograph sites have revealed evidence of the complex cultural adaptations that allowed these people to thrive in harsh mountain environments. Stone tool technologies, food processing techniques, and shelter construction methods all reflect sophisticated understanding of high-altitude survival strategies. The pictographs appear to be integrated into these broader cultural systems. The chronology of sheep-eater pictographs spans several centuries, from prehistoric times into the historic period when these mountain-adapted people had contact with European explorers and settlers. Some paintings show horses and other introduced elements, while others clearly predate European contact. This temporal range provides insights into cultural continuity and change over extended periods. Recent studies using advanced imaging techniques have revealed previously unknown details in sheep-eater pictographs. Multispectral photography and digital enhancement have identified faded paintings, revealed underlying layers of images, and documented color variations that aren't visible to normal observation. These technological approaches are expanding our understanding of the complexity and sophistication of these mountain art traditions. The cultural context of sheep-eater pictographs reflects the unique social organization and spiritual practices of mountain-adapted hunting peoples. Unlike the large social groups typical of plains cultures, sheep-eater bands were small and highly mobile, adapted to the carrying capacity and seasonal patterns of mountain ecosystems. Their rock art reflects these social patterns while also demonstrating cultural connections to broader regional traditions. The mystery of sheep-eater pictographs lies partly in their apparent function as more than simple artistic expression or hunting documentation. The integration of realistic and supernatural elements, the careful selection of locations, and the investment in durable pigments all suggest these paintings served important roles in cultural transmission, spiritual practice, and community identity. Standing before these ancient artworks in their remote mountain settings, surrounded by the peaks and valleys that shaped sheep-eater culture, modern viewers encounter evidence of human adaptation and spiritual expression that transcends the material challenges of mountain survival, leaving us with profound questions about the relationship between environment, culture, and artistic vision. Chapter 10. Reports of giant tools. Throughout the 19th century, as settlers and prospectors explored Wyoming's vast landscapes, a curious pattern of discoveries began to emerge. Workers at quarry sites and mining operations reported finding stone tools of enormous size, hammers and axes that seemed too large for normal human use. These reports, scattered through local newspapers, mining company records, and personal accounts, describe implements that dwarf typical Native American stone tools, raising questions about their origins, purposes, and the people who might have created them. The descriptions of these giant tools are remarkably consistent, despite coming from widely separated locations and different time periods. Most reports described stone hammers weighing between 20 and 40 pounds, far heavier than typical tools used by known Native American groups. The handles, when preserved, were proportionally massive, suggesting users with strength and stature significantly greater than average human dimensions. The quarry sites where many giant tools were discovered provide context that adds to their mystery. These locations show evidence of intensive stone tool production spanning thousands of years, with normal-sized implements found in abundance alongside the occasional giant specimens. This association suggests the oversized tools were integrated into the same technological traditions rather than representing a completely separate cultural system. Archaeological investigations of reported giant tool discoveries have yielded mixed results. Some reported finds have proven to be misidentified, natural stones are exaggerated, accounts of unusually large but still human-scale implements. Some are hidden in narrow canyons or on obscure rock faces that would be invisible to casual travelers. This pattern suggests the sites were not intended for public viewing, but served more private or esoteric purposes. The preservation of red desert petroglyphs is remarkable given the harsh environmental conditions they've endured. The extreme temperature variations, wind erosion, and occasional flash flooding that characterized the red desert environment should have obliterated most surface markings over time. Yet many petroglyphs remain clearly visible, some showing evidence of periodic maintenance or repecking that suggests they were considered important enough to preserve across generations. Dating red desert petroglyphs presents significant challenges due to the lack of organic materials associated with most sites. Style comparison with dated rock art from other regions suggests ages ranging from several hundred to several thousand years, but without direct dating methods, the chronology remains uncertain. Some sites show clear evidence of multiple occupation periods, with different layers of imagery superimposed over earlier work. The relationship between different red desert petroglyph sites remains unclear. While similar motifs appear across the region, there's no obvious organization or hierarchy that would indicate a centralized cultural system. Instead, the sites seem to represent individual or small group activities that happen to share certain artistic conventions or symbolic systems. This pattern suggests a level of cultural communication and shared knowledge that operated across the vast distances of the red desert landscape. As you stand before these ancient artworks today, surrounded by the endless expanse of sagebrush and wind-carved rock, you are confronted with evidence of human creativity and symbolic thinking that pushes the boundaries of what we expect from prehistoric art. The red desert petroglyphs represent a unique expression of human consciousness, one that chose abstraction over representation and mathematical precision over casual execution, leaving us with enduring questions about the minds and motivations of their creators. Chapter 5: Stone Circles and Tipi Rings. Scattered across Wyoming's vast plains and high plateaus are thousands of stone circles, most obviously the remains of tipi rings where nomadic peoples once camped. But among these clearly identifiable domestic sites are other circles that defy easy explanation. Structures too large, too perfectly formed, or too strangely positioned to represent simple camping spots. These mysterious stone arrangements raise fundamental questions about the social, ceremonial, and astronomical knowledge of the people who built them, creating a landscape puzzle that archaeologists are still trying to solve. The typical tipi ring is easy to identify: a circle of stones, 15 to 20 feet in diameter, that once held down the edges of a hide lodge. These domestic circles cluster in areas with good water, shelter, and grazing for horses, following logical patterns of seasonal movement and resource use. But scattered among these ordinary camps are circles that break all the rules. Massive rings, 50 or 60 feet across, perfectly circular arrangements in locations that make no sense for camping, and complex multi-ring systems that suggest purposes far beyond simple shelter. Some of the most puzzling circles are found on high ridges and mountain peaks where no one would reasonably choose to camp. These elevated sites offer commanding views but lack water shelter from wind and access to the resources needed for daily life. The effort required to transport stones to these remote locations and arrange them in precise circles suggests they served purposes important enough to justify the difficult construction process. The oversized circles present their own mysteries. Some measure over 100 feet in diameter, far too large for any known tipi design. These giant rings often incorporate astronomical alignments with stone placements that correspond to solar or stellar observations. The precision of these alignments suggests sophisticated knowledge of celestial mechanics and the ability to translate that knowledge into permanent stone monuments that could serve future generations. Multi-ring complexes add another layer of complexity to the puzzle. These sites feature multiple stone circles arranged in patterns that seem to follow specific organizational principles. Some form straight lines stretching for hundreds of yards. Others create geometric arrangements that might represent family relationships, clan affiliations, or ceremonial hierarchies. The planning and coordination required to create these complex sites suggests levels of social organization that go beyond typical hunting and gathering groups. The construction techniques used for these mysterious circles reveal attention to detail that exceeds practical necessity. Stones were often selected for size, shape, and color, creating circles with aesthetic properties that suggest ceremonial or symbolic purposes. Some circles incorporate special stones, distinctive rocks that were clearly chosen for their unusual characteristics and transported from distant locations specifically for inclusion in the circle. Dating these stone circles presents significant challenges. Unlike organic materials, stones can't be radiocarbon dated, and the lack of associated artifacts at many sites makes cultural affiliation difficult to determine. Some circles clearly relate to historic Plains Indian cultures, while others might be much older, representing cultural traditions that disappeared before European contact. This temporal uncertainty adds to the mystery of their original purposes. The geographic distribution of unexplained stone circles follows patterns that do not match known resource areas or travel routes. Instead of clustering near water sources or along logical travel corridors, many mysterious circles are found in seemingly random locations that would have been inconvenient for most practical purposes. This distribution pattern suggests they served specialized functions that required specific landscape positions, regardless of practical considerations. Ethnographic records from Plains Indian cultures describe various uses for stone circles beyond simple tipi. Rings, medicine wheels, vision quest sites, and ceremonial grounds all involve circular stone arrangements. But the specific characteristics that distinguish these special purposes from ordinary camping circles are often unclear in historical accounts. This gap in the ethnographic record makes it difficult to identify which archaeological circles served specialized functions. Some of the most intriguing circles show evidence of repeated use and modification over long periods. Stones have been rearranged, additional circles added to existing sites, and special features incorporated that suggest these places retain significance across multiple generations. The investment in maintaining and improving these sites indicates they played important roles in cultural systems that valued permanence and continuity. The mystery of Wyoming's unexplained stone circles ultimately reflects our limited understanding of the complex cultural systems that operated on the Great Plains before European contact. These stone arrangements represent decisions made by people with different priorities, knowledge, systems, and spiritual beliefs than our own. They created monuments designed to communicate across time, but the languages they spoke and the concepts they wished to preserve remain largely hidden from modern understanding, leaving us with intriguing evidence of human activities whose full significance we can only guess at. Legend Rock, Petroglyph site, in the heart of Wyoming's high desert. Along the banks of the Grable River stands a sandstone cliff face that serves as one of North America's most extensive outdoor art galleries. Legend Rock contains over 300 individual petroglyphs, carved images that span thousands of years of human history. What makes this site particularly mysterious is not just the age of some carvings, which may date back 10,000 years, but the apparent evolution of artistic styles and the enigmatic meanings behind many of the images. The oldest petroglyphs at Legend Rock belong to what archaeologists call the early hunting tradition, characterized by large figures of animals and hunting scenes pecked deeply into the rock surface. These ancient images show remarkable artistic skill, with detailed depictions of now extinct species and hunting techniques that provide glimpses into a vanished world. The artists who created these earliest works possessed an intimate knowledge of animal anatomy and behavior, capturing movement and expression in ways that suggest both artistic talent and spiritual connection to their subjects. As you move along the cliff face, the artistic styles change dramatically, representing different time periods and possibly different cultural groups. The middle period shows more abstract designs, geometric patterns, and human figures that appear to be engaged in ceremonial activities. These images are more stylized and symbolic, suggesting a shift from purely representational art to something more concerned with spiritual or mythological themes. The most recent petroglyphs show mounted warriors and horses, clearly dating to the period after European contact, when Plains tribes acquired horses. Yet even these more recent images contain mysteries. Some show figures with unusual headdresses or equipment that don't match known historical artifacts, raising questions about whether they represent actual people and events or mythological beings and stories. One of the most puzzling aspects of Legend Rock is the apparent intentional layering of images from different time periods. Later artists did simply add their own petroglyphs to empty spaces on the cliff. They often carved new images directly over older ones, creating palimpsests of overlapping meanings. This suggests the site held continuous sacred significance across multiple cultures and time periods, with each generation adding their own layer to an ongoing visual dialogue. The techniques used to create the petroglyphs also vary dramatically across time periods. The oldest images were made by pecking away the dark desert varnish that coats the sandstone, revealing the lighter rock beneath. Later periods showed different approaches, some involving deeper carving, others using abrading techniques that create different visual textures. These technical variations suggest different cultural traditions, or possibly different ritual purposes for the creation of the images. Many of the petroglyphs depict subjects that remain completely mysterious to modern interpreters. There are spiral designs of enormous complexity, abstract figures that seem to represent neither humans nor animals, and geometric patterns that follow mathematical principles whose purposes are unknown. Some images appear to be star maps or astronomical diagrams, while others might represent spiritual visions or shamanic experiences that are impossible to decode without cultural context. The site's location adds another layer to its mystery. Legend Rock sits at the confluence of several ancient travel routes, making it a natural gathering place for different groups. The cliff faces east, receiving the first light of dawn, and the surrounding landscape offers natural amphitheater acoustics that would have enhanced ceremonial activities. The choice of this specific location was clearly intentional, but the reasons behind that choice remain speculative. Archaeological evidence suggests Legend Rock was used seasonally, with people camping nearby during certain times of the year to create or view the petroglyphs. Fire hearths and tool fragments found in the area indicate temporary occupation, but no evidence of permanent settlement. This pattern suggests the site served as a pilgrimage destination, or ceremonial gathering place rather than a residential location. The preservation of the petroglyphs themselves raises questions about ancient preservation techniques. The images have survived thousands of years of harsh weather, flash floods, and natural erosion, yet many remain remarkably clear and detailed. Some show evidence of intentional maintenance or recarving over time, suggesting that preserving these images was important to successive generations. Perhaps the greatest mystery of legend rock is how to interpret the apparent conversations between artists separated by thousands of years. The layering of images suggests an ongoing dialogue about shared human experiences, spiritual beliefs, and cultural values that transcended individual cultures and time periods. Standing before these ancient artworks today, we see evidence of a continuous human presence and a persistent need to leave permanent marks that would speak to future generations, even when the specific messages they intended to convey remain forever beyond our reach. Chapter 6. Castle Gardens Petroglyphs. Deep in the Badlands of central Wyoming, where eroded sandstone formations create a landscape that resembles ancient fortifications, lies one of the most distinctive rock art sites in North America. Castle Gardens gets its name from the castle-like appearance of the weathered sandstone pillars that dominate the site. But it's the petroglyphs carved into these natural monuments that make this place truly extraordinary. Here, shield-bearing warriors march across the rock faces in artistic styles unlike anything else found in the region, raising questions about cultural connections, migration patterns, and the meaning behind these unique warrior images. The warrior petroglyphs at Castle Gardens are immediately recognizable by their distinctive shield designs. These aren't simple circular shields, but elaborate constructions decorated with intricate patterns, geometric designs, and symbolic elements that seem to represent specific military societies or warrior traditions. The shields vary in design, from simple crosshatch patterns to complex arrangements that incorporate animal imagery, astronomical symbols, and abstract geometric forms that suggest deep cultural meanings. The human figures carrying these shields are rendered with remarkable consistency and attention to detail. The warriors are shown in profile, often in dynamic poses that suggest movement or dancing. Many carry weapon spears, bows, or war clubs that are depicted with enough detail to identify specific weapon types and construction techniques. Some figures wear elaborate headdresses or clothing that indicates high status or ceremonial roles within their societies. What makes these warrior images particularly mysterious is their apparent uniqueness within regional rock art traditions. While shield-bearing warrior petroglyphs appear at a few other sites across the Great Plains, the specific artistic style and shield designs found at Castle Gardens do match closely with any other known rock art tradition. This suggests either a distinct cultural group was responsible for these images, or that Castle Gardens represents a convergence point where different cultural traditions met and influenced each other. The age of the Castle Gardens petroglyphs is difficult to determine precisely, but style analysis suggests they were created during the late prehistoric or early historic period, possibly between 500 and 1000 years ago. However, other discoveries have been verified by qualified observers and documented with measurements and photographs that confirm their exceptional dimensions. The functional aspects of these giant tools present significant puzzles. Experimental archaeology suggests that stone hammers weighing 30 or 40 pounds would be extremely difficult for normal humans to wield effectively. The weight would make them unwieldy for precision work, while the size would create ergonomic problems that would reduce rather than enhance their effectiveness for most stonework tasks. Some researchers have proposed that the giant tools were designed for specialized applications that required exceptional force rather than precision. Heavy quarrying work, breaking large stones, or processing particularly hard materials might have benefited from implements that could deliver tremendous impact force despite their unwieldy characteristics. But this explanation suggests specialized rather than general-purpose applications. The temporal context of giant tool discoveries adds another layer to their mystery. Most reports date to the period when intensive mining and quarrying activities were first exposing archaeological deposits that had remained undisturbed for centuries or millennia. This timing suggests the tools were buried or hidden in contexts that protected them from earlier discovery by Native American groups or early explorers. The geographic distribution of reported giant tool finds follows patterns that do clearly correspond to known cultural boundaries or resource distributions. Reports come from across Wyoming and extend into neighboring states, suggesting either a widespread cultural phenomenon or multiple independent developments of oversized tool technologies. The scattered distribution makes it difficult to identify cultural connections or technological traditions. Modern attempts to replicate the reported giant tools have revealed the technical challenges involved in their production. Creating stone implements of such size requires exceptional skill in stone knapping techniques, careful selection of raw materials, and sophisticated understanding of fracture mechanics. The technical knowledge required suggests experienced craftspeople rather than casual experimentation. With oversized designs, the absence of giant tools from most archaeological collections raises questions about their frequency and the circumstances of their discovery. Museum collections contain thousands of stone tools from Wyoming archaeological sites, but giant specimens are extremely rare. This rarity might reflect selective preservation, reporting bias, or genuinely low frequencies of production and use. Some accounts describe giant tools in association with other unusual archaeological features, including oversized fires, unusually robust human skeletal remains, and construction projects that seem to require exceptional physical capabilities. These associations suggest that giant tools might be part of broader patterns of cultural variation that included physical and technological characteristics outside the normal range of known prehistoric populations. The preservation of giant stone tools would be expected to exceed that of smaller implements due to their size and mass. Large stone objects are less likely to be completely destroyed by natural processes and more likely to be noticed and reported when encountered. However, their size might also make them more vulnerable to breakage during the geological processes that bury and expose archaeological materials. Recent re-examination of historical accounts has identified additional reports of giant tools that were not widely circulated at the time of their discovery. Mining company records, personal diaries, and local newspaper accounts contain references to oversized implements that add to the documented cases. These previously overlooked accounts suggest the phenomenon might have been more common than recognized. The cultural implications of verified giant tool discoveries extend beyond simple technological variation. If authentic, these implements suggest the existence of prehistoric peoples with physical capabilities, technological knowledge, or cultural practices that differed significantly from known Native American groups. Such differences would have profound implications for understanding the diversity of human populations and cultural systems in prehistoric North America. The mystery of Wyoming's reported giant tools ultimately reflects the challenges of interpreting archaeological evidence that does not fit comfortably within established frameworks of prehistoric cultural variation, whether representing unusual technological adaptations, misidentified natural objects, or evidence of previously unknown cultural groups. These enigmatic implements continue to challenge our understanding of the human past, leaving us with tantalizing questions about the full range of cultural and physical diversity that might have characterized prehistoric populations in the American West. Chapter 11. Green River Fossil Formation. In the high desert of southwestern Wyoming, where wind-carved badlands stretch toward distant mountain ranges, lies one of the world's most remarkable windows into ancient life. The Green River Formation preserves a 50-million-year-old ecosystem in extraordinary detail, capturing everything from complete fish skeletons to delicate insect wings, plant leaves, and even the soft tissues of aquatic creatures that normally decay without trace. Yet, the conditions that created this exceptional preservation remain a scientific puzzle, challenging our understanding of fossilization processes and ancient environmental conditions. The Green River Formation represents the remnants of ancient lakes that covered much of Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah during the early Eocene epoch. These weren't ordinary lakes, but vast, deep bodies of water that persisted for millions of years, creating environmental conditions unlike anything seen on Earth today. The lakes were fed by rivers draining the newly formed Rocky Mountains, creating complex aquatic ecosystems that supported diverse communities of fish, reptiles, plants, and countless smaller organisms. The exceptional preservation found in Green River fossils defies normal expectations about decay and fossilization. Complete fish skeletons retain individual bones in perfect articulation, with scales, fin rays, and even stomach contents preserved in remarkable detail. Insects show wing patterns, leg segments, and antennae that allow identification to species level. Plant fossils include not just leaves, but flowers, seeds, and even pollen grains that provide detailed information about ancient plant communities. The scientific mystery centers on understanding exactly how such perfect preservation occurred. Normally, dead organisms decay rapidly due to bacterial action, scavenging, and chemical breakdown. The Green River fossils suggest these normal processes were somehow prevented or dramatically slowed, allowing organic materials to be buried and mineralized before significant decay occurred. The specific environmental conditions that created this exceptional preservation remain debated among paleontologists. Current theories about Green River preservation focus on the unique chemistry and physical conditions of the ancient lakes. The deep waters may have become stratified with oxygen-depleted bottom layers that prevented bacterial decay and scavenging. Seasonal variations might have created rapid burial events that entombed organisms before decomposition could occur. High salinity levels could have created preservative conditions similar to modern salt lakes. The diversity of life preserved in the Green River Formation provides insights into ecosystems that have no modern analogues. The fish communities include species adapted to both freshwater and saline conditions, suggesting the ancient lakes experienced significant chemical variations over time. Reptile fossils include early relatives of modern lizards, snakes, and turtles, while bird fossils represent some of the earliest well-preserved examples of several modern bird groups. The plant fossils from the Green River Formation reveal a world dramatically different from modern Wyoming. Palm trees, figs, and other tropical species indicate climates much warmer and more humid than today. The preservation quality allows detailed studies of leaf structure, revealing information about ancient atmospheric conditions, seasonal patterns, and ecological relationships between plants and their environments. Recent discoveries in the Green River Formation have continued to surprise scientists with new types of preservation and previously unknown species. Soft tissue preservation has been documented in some specimens, including muscle fibers, skin impressions, and even possible cellular structures. These discoveries push the boundaries of what scientists thought possible in 50-million-year-old rocks. The formation process of the Green River deposits involved complex interactions between geological, chemical, and biological factors that operated over millions of years. Volcanic activity in the region contributed ash layers that helped preserve fossils while also providing time markers for dating different levels. Climate changes affected lake levels and chemistry, creating the varied preservation conditions found at different stratigraphic levels. The economic importance of the Green River Formation extends beyond its scientific value. The same conditions that preserve fossils also created oil shale deposits that represent one of the world's largest potential petroleum resources. Understanding the formation processes that created the fossils helped scientists understand the conditions that generated these energy resources. The study of Green River fossils has revolutionized understanding of early Cenozoic ecosystems and environmental conditions. The detailed preservation allows reconstruction of food webs, ecological relationships, and environmental gradients that would be impossible to determine from less well-preserved fossil sites. These reconstructions provide crucial data for understanding how ecosystems respond to climate change and environmental disruption. Modern collection methods at Green River sites employ techniques designed to preserve not just the obvious fossils but also microscopic remains and chemical signatures that provide additional environmental information. Mass spectrometry, electron microscopy, and other advanced analytical techniques are revealing details about ancient ecosystems that weren't accessible to earlier researchers. The mystery of Green River preservation continues to generate new research directions as scientists develop better techniques for analyzing ancient organic materials. Recent studies have suggested that the formation might preserve not just fossils, but also ancient DNA proteins and other biomolecules that could provide unprecedented insights into the biology of 50-million-year-old organisms. The educational and research value of the Green River Formation attracts scientists from around the world. But the sites also face conservation challenges from commercial fossil collection and development pressures. Balancing scientific research, educational access, and preservation of this irreplaceable record requires ongoing management and protection efforts. Standing among the Badlands, where Green River fossils, whether from the rock surrounded by the remains of fish that swam in ancient lakes millions of years before humans existed, visitors encounter one of Earth's most remarkable archives of ancient life. The exceptional preservation that makes these fossils so valuable to science remains a testament to environmental conditions and processes that operated under circumstances we still do unfully understand, leaving us with both extraordinary evidence of ancient ecosystems and enduring questions about the specific mechanisms that created this paleontological treasure trove. Chapter 12. Fossilized palm trees. In the high desert country around Kemmerer, Wyoming, where sagebrush now dominates a landscape of rolling hills and exposed rock formations, an extraordinary discovery challenges every assumption about the region's climatic history. Fossilized palm trees, their fronds and trunks preserved in remarkable detail, emerged from rock layers that speak of a time when this arid landscape supported lush tropical forests. These ancient palms represent one of the most dramatic examples of how profoundly Earth's climate has changed over geological time. Yet the specific conditions that allowed tropical vegetation to thrive at these northern latitudes remain a scientific puzzle. The palm fossils found near Kemmerer belong to several different species, indicating that diverse tropical plant communities once flourished throughout the region. Complete fronds show the characteristic fan and feather patterns of different palm types, while fossilized trunks reveal growth patterns and anatomical structures that allow detailed comparison with modern tropical species. The preservation quality is so exceptional that individual cellular structures can sometimes be observed under microscopic examination. Dating these fossilized palms places them in the Eocene epoch, approximately 50 million years ago, during a period when global temperatures were significantly warmer than today. However, even accounting for this warmer global climate, the presence of palms at the latitude of Wyoming represents environmental conditions that seem almost impossible from a modern perspective. Understanding how such tropical conditions could exist so far north challenges current models of ancient climate systems. The geological context of the palm fossils provides clues about the environmental conditions that supported their growth. The rock formations containing the fossils were deposited in lake and river systems that supported extensive wetland ecosystems. Sediment analysis reveals high organic content and mineral compositions consistent with warm, humid conditions that would have supported tropical vegetation communities. The diversity of plant fossils associated with the palms paints a picture of complete tropical ecosystems that included not just palms but also figs, laurels, and other warm climate species. This plant community diversity suggests stable tropical conditions that persisted for extended periods, not brief warming episodes that might have allowed temporary tropical incursions into normally temperate regions. Recent paleoclimate research has attempted to model the atmospheric and oceanic conditions that could have supported palm growth in Wyoming during the Eocene. These studies suggest that atmospheric carbon dioxide levels were much higher than today, creating greenhouse conditions that maintained warm temperatures even at high latitudes. Ocean current patterns were also dramatically different, potentially transporting warm tropical waters much further north than in modern times. The altitude at which these palm fossils are found adds another dimension to the puzzle. Modern Kemmerer sits at over 6,000 feet elevation, well above the altitude limits of most palm species, even in tropical climates. This suggests either that the ancient landscape was at much lower elevation when the palms grew, or that the climate conditions were so favorable that palms could survive at elevations where they cannot exist today. The preservation mechanisms that created these exceptional palm fossils involve rapid burial and mineralization processes, similar to those found in other Wyoming fossil sites. Volcanic ash layers interspersed with the fossil-bearing sediments provided mineral-rich conditions that replaced organic tissues with stable minerals while maintaining detailed structural information about the original plant materials. The discovery of palm fossils in Wyoming has implications beyond regional climate history. These finds contribute to global understanding of how plant communities respond to major climate changes and how tropical ecosystems might migrate in response to warming conditions. The Wyoming palms represent natural experiments in climate adaptation that provide insights relevant to current concerns about global climate change. The contrast between ancient and modern vegetation in the Kemmerer area illustrates the magnitude of climate change that has occurred over geological time. Where tropical palms once swayed in warm, humid breezes, hardy desert plants now struggle to survive in an arid environment that receives less than 10 inches of annual precipitation. This transformation represents one of the most dramatic ecological changes documented in the geological record. Modern botanical studies of the fossilized palm specimens have identified species relationships and evolutionary patterns that help scientists understand how palm families developed and diversified over time. Some of the Wyoming fossils represent extinct species that show intermediate characteristics between modern palm groups, providing insights into evolutionary processes that operated over millions of years. The educational value of Wyoming's fossilized palms extends beyond their scientific importance. These tangible evidences of past climate conditions help communicate the reality of natural climate variability and the dramatic changes that Earth's climate system can undergo. The fossils serve as powerful tools for education about geological time, climate history, and environmental change. Conservation of palm fossil sites faces challenges from both natural erosion and human activities. The same weathering processes that expose fossils for discovery also gradually destroy them through continued erosion. Commercial fossil collecting and development pressures threaten some sites, while the remote locations of many fossil deposits make monitoring and protection difficult. Recent technological advances in fossil analysis have revealed new information about the Wyoming palm fossils that wasn't accessible to earlier researchers. Electron microscopy, chemical analysis, and three-dimensional imaging techniques are providing detailed information about cellular structures, growth patterns, and environmental conditions that affected these ancient plants. The mystery of Wyoming's fossilized palms ultimately reflects the complexity of Earth's climate system and the dramatic changes that have occurred throughout geological history. These tropical fossils in an arid landscape serve as monuments to environmental conditions that seem almost alien from a modern perspective. Yet they represent natural climate states that persisted for millions of years. Standing among the sagebrush and exposed rock where these ancient palms once grew, visitors encounter physical evidence of environmental changes so profound they challenge fundamental assumptions about the stability and predictability of Earth's climate systems, leaving us with both wonder at the planet's capacity for change and questions about the mechanisms that drive such dramatic environmental transformations. Chapter 13. Turtle Rocks of Vedawu. In the granite wonderland of Vedawu, where enormous pink and gray boulders rise from the Wyoming prairie like sleeping giants, natural forces have sculpted stone formations that seem to defy explanation. These massive granite outcrops, shaped by millions of years of weathering, have created landscapes that appear almost deliberately crafted into recognizable forms. Turtle-shaped rocks, balanced boulders that seem to challenge gravity, and formations that resemble animals, human figures, and fantastical creatures dominate this geological playground, raising questions about the specific processes that could create such seemingly intentional shapes. The name Vedawu, derived from an Arapaho word meaning earthborn spirits, reflects the profound impression these rock formations made on the Native American peoples who first encountered them. The granite landscape, with its maze of towering boulders and narrow passages, was considered a place of spiritual power, where natural and supernatural forces intersected. The apparent intentionality of many rock shapes reinforced beliefs that supernatural beings had shaped the landscape for purposes that transcended ordinary geological processes. The geological formation of Vedawu began over 1 billion years ago when granite magma cooled slowly deep underground, creating the coarse-grained pink granite that characterizes the area. The granite's distinctive color comes from high feldspar content, while its coarse texture reflects the slow cooling process that allowed large mineral crystals to form. This ancient granite remained buried until relatively recent geological time, when uplift and erosion exposed it to surface weathering processes. The specific weathering processes that created Vedawu's distinctive rock shapes involve complex interactions between chemical and physical forces that operated over millions of years. Granite weathers along natural joint systems, fractures that developed as the rock cooled and was later subjected to tectonic stresses. Water infiltration along these joints caused chemical weathering that gradually widened the cracks, while freeze-thaw cycles provided physical forces that separated individual blocks. The turtle-like formations that give Vedawu much of its distinctive character result from differential weathering processes that operated at different rates on different parts of the granite mass. Areas with more resistant mineral compositions weathered more slowly, creating dome-like shapes that resemble turtle shells. Softer zones weathered away more rapidly, creating the overhangs and undercuts that give many formations their animal-like appearances. The balanced rocks found throughout Vedawu represent particularly striking examples of how weathering processes can create formations that seem to defy natural laws. These precariously positioned boulders result from the weathering away of supporting rock, leaving massive granite blocks perched on small contact points that seem inadequate to support their enormous weight. The physics of these balanced rocks involves complex stress distributions and rock strength characteristics that maintain stability despite their precarious appearances. Recent geological studies have attempted to quantify the weathering rates and processes that created Vedawu's distinctive landscape. Researchers have found that granite weathering in this environment occurs primarily through granular disintegration, a process where individual mineral grains are gradually loosened and removed from the rock surface. This process creates the smooth, rounded surfaces characteristic of many Vedawu formations, while also contributing to the gradual sculpting of recognizable shapes. The microclimate effects created by Vedawu's granite landscape contribute to the weathering processes that continue to shape the rocks today. The thermal mass of the large granite formations creates temperature variations that drive daily freeze-thaw cycles even during seasons when air temperatures remain moderate. These temperature fluctuations, combined with moisture retention in crack systems, accelerate weathering processes in specific zones. The recognition of animal and human forms in Vedawu's rock formations reflects fundamental human psychological tendencies to find familiar patterns in random natural shapes. This phenomenon, known as pareidolia, explains why visitors consistently identify the same recognizable forms in the granite sculptures. However, the frequency and clarity of recognizable shapes at Vedawu exceeds what might be expected from purely random weathering processes. Archaeological evidence from Vedawu suggests the site has been significant to human cultures for thousands of years. Stone tools, fire hearths, and other artifacts indicate repeated occupation and use of the area, while rock art sites show that people incorporated the distinctive granite formations into their spiritual and cultural practices. The landscape's apparent supernatural character made it an important location for vision quests and ceremonial activities. The ecological communities that have developed around Vedawu's granite formations create additional complexity in the weathering environment. Plant roots growing in crack systems contribute chemical weathering through root acids, while also providing physical forces that can gradually widen joints and fractures. The shade and moisture retention provided by large boulders create microclimates that support plant communities different from the surrounding prairie. Modern recreational use of Vedawu has focused attention on the stability and safety of the granite formations. Rock climbing activities have raised concerns about the long-term effects of human activity on weathering processes, while the popularity of the area for hiking and camping has created needs for balancing public access with protection of the geological formations. The study of Vedawu's granite weathering processes has contributed to broader understanding of how massive rock formations respond to surface weathering conditions. The site serves as a natural laboratory for studying granite weathering rates, joint system development, and the formation of distinctive landscape features through long-term geological processes. Recent technological advances have allowed more detailed study of Vedawu's rock formations using three-dimensional scanning, stress analysis, and other techniques that reveal previously unrecognized aspects of their formation and current stability. These studies have identified active weathering processes that continue to shape the granite landscape, while also documenting the remarkable stability of formations that appear precariously balanced. The enduring mystery of Vedawu lies not in the basic geological processes that shaped its granite landscape, but in understanding why those processes created such a high concentration of recognizable and seemingly intentional forms. The combination of geological conditions, weathering processes, and time that produced this remarkable landscape represents a convergence of factors that created natural sculptures rivaling any human artistic achievement. Standing among these granite giants surrounded by formations that seem to watch and interact with their visitors, one encounters evidence of natural processes operating with such apparent creativity and intention that the boundary between geological accident and artistic design becomes beautifully, mysteriously blurred.